for lack of a better term, cool. It's just like there are so many other words that I could use right now, but cool is the only one that's going to work right now.
Cool is a good word still.
Yeah. Hi everyone, I am joined by creative Ceci,
Yes.
also known as Cecilia Nelson-Hurt.
Yes.
And you are also a diversity practitioner for L'Oreal.
Correct.
Thank you so much for joining me
Thank
today.
you for having me. This is so exciting.
You wear so many different hats. I want to talk about you as a knitter, but also this amazing podcast that you have coming out. Tell us about this podcast.
So I fell in love with Instagram. I have been the photographer in the family for years. So Instagram, as I got more familiar with it, I'm like, oh my goodness, I love this because it's visual. You can connect with people via the hashtag. And so my Instagram self was where I really enjoyed it. Then when they added the Instagram stories, I'm like, this is even better because now I can do a little video and show you whatever. And so the whatever for me is my love of traveling. Once you get that travel bug, you can't stop it. And so I started taking people along and doing Insta stories of here I am at and showing pictures and so forth. So when it came to developing or launching a podcast, I'm friends with Trish of Carpe Yarn. She's like, I see your podcast more of Ceci Knits the World. And I'm like, Ceci Knits the World. I could see that.
I love that.
And so I really want my podcast to be a little bit of me, but also here's this yarn shop. Around the corner there's a tea shop. I love to drink tea, so it's so perfect that we're here. And then, what are some other fun things that you can do and see?
Why don't you tell us a little bit about your job as a diversity practitioner and then kind of how that's kind of come over into the crafting world?
Absolutely. So I've been with L'Oreal for 11 years this summer, and I moved into diversity and inclusion, which is what we call the department, about 4 years ago. And so in my role, I'm responsible for SEMO, for social, economic, multicultural, and origins. And so that means I look after everything non-white.
Okay.
So people of color. I also, separate from that, or included in that, I look after our veterans. So we have a group for veterans, and I look after our LGBTQ employees. I'm focused on the employee experience. So how do all those different dimensions of diversity feel? Do they feel valued in the company? And I'm also responsible for diversity training. I've been using the hashtag making a difference for years because I want to do that. When the conversation on the lack of diversity and inclusion in the fiber space occurred, I think I added a comment that said, you know, I can show you better than I can tell you, look at the way that I live my life. And so I started doing Instagram Lives, just using my knowledge
And your platform.
and my platform, not to be the only voice in the conversation, but to be a different voice in the conversation. And that was received well. Apparently.
You're like, and now.
Yeah. And, you know, and so it definitely brought the two worlds together. I took to knitting really well, and it was a way for me to decompress throughout my life. So longer than I've been at my company, I've been a knitter. And so I've knit through the, illness, I've knit through the loss of my mother and my grandmother. I've knit through various crises in life. And so knitting was very zen for me. And so at the end of a hard day, end of a taxing day, I would come home and knit. And so I wasn't as eager to jump in because now I knew the worlds would collide. But quite honestly, the second I made the decision, I have not looked back. I have not had a regret. And I was like, oh, I was supposed to, right? That was the purpose and passion alignment.
It is an important conversation to continuously have. It's been brought to light, and I think we need to continue to shed light upon it. And I think for my viewers out there, I would love to know how they can maybe bring it to their crafting communities.
I think one of the biggest things that came out of the conversation was this notion of privilege and bias. And so the awareness is important to understand the privilege and how can I use my privilege and how can I use my voice? How can I be that active bystander that when I see something, I say something, right? And so if I see someone being treated or I see someone being left out or marginalized and I'm there, that I don't let it happen on my watch. If it's happening in corporate, it's gonna show up everywhere. It's gonna show up with the women's soccer team. It's gonna show up in tennis. It's gonna show up in fashion, in music, in Hollywood. Of course it's gonna show up in knitting because we're a microcosm of the world.
You're not only passionate, but it's something also that you love. Like this is your community too. Yeah. Just as much as being aware and communicating to the different diverse communities out there, you're also communicating to this community that maybe people just thought were knitters and crocheters, but it's way more than that. It's way deeper than that. It's who makes up this amazing community that we are so lucky and privileged to be a part of too. So with that said, Cecilia, it is always an absolute pleasure to have you come on. We like to ask our audience a question, but I'm going to give you that lovely honor. So what would you like to know?
I would love to know if there's any place in the world or in the country that your viewers would like to see. I'm putting together my playlist of places and would love some ideas on places to go where there is knitting that you are interested.
Well, we're looking forward to all of your comments and all of the wonderful places that you would like Cecilia to go to and maybe Shira.
Take you along with me.
Remember, you can follow Cecilia at all of the below, yes? And you can go and subscribe and like her new podcast.
Yes.
I'm very excited.
Ceci Knits the World.
Ceci Knits the World. And also like and subscribe to Tea with Shira if you haven't already. Thank you guys for joining us for Tea with Shira Season 4. We're very excited for Season 5. We have really wonderful designers, dyers, crafters, everybody, and we're, taking a note from everything that's happening as well, and we want to bring that to the Tea with Shira audience as well. So I'm very excited for Season 5. Thank you, Cecilia, for joining us today. Cheers. And cheers to you. Happy summer, guys. Hey guys, that was our final episode of this season. I hope you enjoyed it. We'll be back at the end of the summer with all new guests, but until then, we want to get to know you over in our new Tea with Shira Facebook group. The link is in the description. And while we're away, you can catch up on old episodes or rewatch your favorites here. See you soon.